Every day, you know, communities everywhere are dealing with the impact of crime, and there's this constant push to protect people, to secure some peace. Today, we're going to cut through some of that noise. We're doing a deep dive into an official press release, this one from the Nigeria Police Force. And it's not just a dry report. It's quite detailed, actually. Gives an account of their recent anti-crime operations. Really paints a picture of the challenges and, well, successes too. So our mission here is to pull out the key bits for you, the factual nuggets, the tactics they're using, and, the real impact these efforts are having. Think of it as a shortcut, really, to understanding some pretty significant internal security developments and what's actually being done.
Exactly. And that's why these official communications, like this press release, they're just so vital to look at. They're definitely more than just a list of things that happened. They give us a window, a unique one, into the operational side of law enforcement. So by looking closely, we start to get a handle on not just what happened, but the nuances, the challenges these agencies face, the different ways they tackle them, and importantly, how all that ripples out into society. It's about getting past the headlines, isn't it? Understanding the actual work on the ground.
Okay, let's dive into the details then. The Nigeria Police Force reported what they're calling significant breakthroughs. This is part of their continuous efforts to bolster internal security and protect the lives and property of citizens. That's the official language. And these specific operations we're focusing on, they happened recently in Kebbi and Abia States.
Yeah, and that phrase, bolstering internal security, it's worth thinking about what that really means, especially somewhere like Nigeria facing complex threats, kidnapping being a major one. It's not just about reacting after a crime, it's much bigger. It involves, proactive steps, gathering intelligence, being visible to deter crime. It's also about rebuilding trust, making sure people feel fundamentally safe day to day. That's a huge task, and this report, well, it hints at that bigger picture.
Right. So let's start with Kebbi State. 2 rescue missions there, and they're quite different, actually, show different tactics. The first one, this goes back to July 27th, 2025. You can sort of picture it, armed kidnappers storming Sangara village in Shanka local government area, that's LGA. And they grabbed 3 people, Mohammed Nasamu Namada, who's 25, Gideon Namada, 20, and Hamidou Haji Namani, 35. I mean, for that village, Sangara, that's a huge shock to their sense of safety.
Absolutely devastating for a community like that.
But the police response, according to this report, sounds like it was quick and really coordinated. They used the phrase intensifying rescue efforts.
Yeah.
What's interesting is they mentioned police worked alongside other security agencies and local vigilantes.
Ah, that's key.
Yeah, together they launched this coordinated search and rescue mission. It led them into the Shanga Hills. Sounds like difficult terrain.
Definitely implies challenging conditions.
And what happened next wasn't quiet. It was a confrontation. The press release says they engaged the criminals in a fierce gun duel. Apparently, this combined force police, other agencies, the vigilantes, they overwhelmed the kidnappers. The kidnappers fled into the forest, and the report notes, with various degrees of gunshot wounds.
Wow.
Which allowed for the rescue, thankfully, of all 3 victims, successfully rescued.
That detail, fierce gun duel, and the kidnappers fleeing wounded, it really tells you how intense and dangerous these situations are. These aren't small incidents. And the mention of local vigilantes, that's really significant. These are often community groups, right? They have that local knowledge, know the terrain, provide extra eyes and ears, sometimes extra manpower.
Right. Crucial local knowledge.
Exactly. This kind of multifaceted approach, bringing in the community, it's often vital, especially in tricky environments. It builds a stronger front against these groups, using both formal police power and informal local networks.
That collaboration really does sound effective. So the next incident in Kebbi, it provides a real contrast in how these things can happen. Still in Kebbi, but this time Danko-Wasago LGA. On August 15th, police were just on routine patrol.
Okay, so not a specific tip-off this time.
Exactly, near Dankit village in Reba district. And they just encountered a group of armed bandits, completely unexpected. And that immediately led to another gunfight.
Just happened upon them.
Yeah. And from that clash, they rescued 2 more victims.
Right.
Tukur Bello, 26, and Isyaka Abubakar, 25. Turns out they'd been kidnapped earlier, August 9th, while grazing cattle in Gayari Forest, which is actually over in Zamfara State.
Ah, so they'd been moved across state lines.
Seems like it. And the good news here, they were rescued unhurt, which is fantastic.
That's always a relief to hear.
And quickly reunited with their families.
Comparing those 2 Kebbi incidents is really revealing about police strategy. The first one was targeted rescue, reacting to a known kidnapping, likely intelligence-driven. The second one, though, that encounter during a routine patrol, It really highlights the value of just having that continuous police presence. It can disrupt things, even by chance.
Right, preventative almost.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also significant that the victims were graziers. That points to a specific group that's vulnerable because their work takes them into remote, often less secure areas. They become targets.
Makes sense.
And getting them back unhurt in that second case, that's a crucial positive result. Minimizes the trauma, and it says something about how effectively the police handled that sudden firefight.
That comparison is helpful. But does the success of a routine patrol encounter like that mean maybe resources should be spread more evenly? Or is that intelligence-led approach still, more strategic against organized groups?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's such a balancing act. What these incidents show is that you really need both. Intelligence-led operations, yeah, they can have a very targeted impact if the intel is good and timely. But you don't always have that.
Right. Intel isn't guaranteed.
Exactly. Routine patrols, on the other hand, they provide that constant presence, that deterrent factor, and the potential for these chance disruptions. You can't discount the element of luck, maybe, but also wettiness involved when a patrol leads to a rescue.
Okay.
So it's not really either. It's about using both strategies together, knowing they each have strengths and weaknesses.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's shift gears from Kebbi. Next up is Abia State. Here, intelligence played a really central role. Very dramatic outcome, too. Police acted on credible intelligence, the report says, and they launched a targeted strike, storming a kidnapper's den in Umuko Obete village, Ukwa West, LGA.
So proactive this time. They knew where to go.
Precisely. And this wasn't just some minor group. This gang had apparently been, quote, terrorizing residents and commuters along Umuso Village and Narada Road off Port Harcourt Road. You can just imagine the fear in that area.
Oh, absolutely. Daily life disrupted, constant anxiety.
So the moment the gang saw the police operatives, they didn't surrender. They immediately engaged them in a gun duel.
No hesitation.
None. But the report stresses that the police had superior firepower, and it proved decisive. The outcome, the neutralization of 5 members of the notorious gang. That's a significant hit.
It really is. And that phrase, credible intelligence, is doing a lot of work there. It changes everything, doesn't it? From chasing shadows to making a direct, proactive strike.
Huge difference.
Yeah. This kind of action doesn't just solve one crime. It disrupts the whole network. It provides immediate, tangible relief for the community that's been living under that terror. Taking out 5 members of an active gang like that, it can drastically improve safety and just restore some sense of normality.
And they're not stopping there, apparently.
Right. The report mentions follow-up operations are ongoing. That suggests a strategy, doesn't it? They're trying to dismantle the entire network, not just react to this one den. It's part of a bigger effort.
And the evidence recovered really backs up the idea that this was a serious operation. After the confrontation, a search of the scene turned up quite a cache. Listen to this. 6 AK-47 rifles.
Deeks! Wow.
335 rounds of live ammunition. 14 magazines. 5 mobile phones. 3 cutlasses. 5 operational jackets. An axe. A pair of boots. And then these items. 1 polo charm and 1 double-barreled long gun.
That list tells a story, doesn't it? It gives you a very clear picture of the gang's capabilities. Multiple AK-47s, all that ammo. This wasn't a petty operation. They were well-armed, dangerous, prepared for serious violence. The magazines, the phones, the jackets that points towards planning, coordination. This is organized crime.
And the charm. What do you make of that?
Well, the polo charm, it might seem like a small detail, but items like that can be really significant psychologically in these contexts. They can serve 2 purposes. One, they might embolden the criminals themselves, give them a sense of, magical protection or invincibility.
Okay.
But maybe more importantly, they can be used to instill fear in the local population. People might believe in the power of these charms, making them reluctant to cooperate with authorities or resist the gang.
So recovering it is symbolic, too.
Exactly. It's not just taking an object. It's potentially undermining a tool they used for psychological control and intimidation. It chips away at their mystique.
That's fascinating, how a small item can mean so much. So obviously these successes didn't go unnoticed at the top. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adiolu Egbetokun, he publicly lauded the commitment of the officers involved.
And that's so important. High-level recognition like that does a couple of things. Internally, For the officers on the ground who are risking their lives, it's a huge morale booster. It shows their bravery is seen and valued.
Makes sense.
And externally, for the public, it builds confidence. It shows leadership is engaged, appreciates the effort, and is being transparent about these actions. That public trust is absolutely essential for policing to work.
And the IGP didn't just praise them, he gave directives too. The report says he urged officers to sustain the tempo and intensify the ongoing onslaught against criminal actors across the nation.
Sustain the tempo. That's strong language.
It is.
Yeah.
And he also reassured the public of the continued resolve of the force to combating crime in all forms and to maintain law and order across the country. Sounds like a real commitment.
Absolutely. And if you connect those statements back to the overall mission, they're not just words. They reinforce the core job of law enforcement: protect people, uphold the law. That emphasis on sustaining the tempo, it signals this isn't just about isolated wins. It's about an ongoing strategic push.
Right, not letting up.
Exactly. It tells the public, look, we had these successes, but the work goes on. We're committed long-term to dismantling these criminal threats. It aims for that systematic change, not just reacting incident by incident.
So you've just been on this deep dive with us, pulling apart the details from that Nigeria police force press release.
Yeah.
We've seen the rescue of 5 kidnapping victims, the neutralization, as they term it, of 5 suspected kidnappers, and a really significant haul of weapons and gear recovered, all across different operations in Kebbi and Abia. It really shows how valuable it is to look closely at these official reports, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To get past the surface and understand what's really happening.
It really does. What strikes me most is just how complex internal security is. You see it all playing out here. It's this mix, this interplay of different things. Having good intelligence, being proactively out on patrol, involving the community, those local vigilantes, and then having the capacity for decisive action when needed. It's definitely not straightforward. It's a constantly shifting strategy, adapting to the threats, trying to protect people and bring back stability.
Which leaves us with a thought for you, our listener, to maybe ponder. When you consider these different approaches we've discussed, the big multi-agency rescue in Kebbi, the chance encounter on patrol, the intelligence-led strike in Equerry, each with its own outcome. What does this variety tell us about the kinds of strategies needed to fight organized crime today? How do these need to evolve? And maybe critically, how could strengthening those collaborations, especially with community groups, make these efforts even more effective down the line? Something to think about.